My name is Kira Boudreau. I have slides 16 through 24. My objective is to discuss the style and function of Bronze Age art of Mesopotamia. Background about the Bronze Age art of Mesopotamia. The artifacts that have been found show that early civilizations emerged in a variation of times in a bunch of different parts of the world. Key elements are food production, occupational specialization, writing, and the production of bronze by smelting lead and tin. All of these elements were created because of the move to live in urban plus agricultural areas. The rise of bronze made it easier to create better weapons, therefore the rise of better empires occurred. The Greeks named the location between the Tigris and Euphrates River Mesopotamia. Down here I have a few definitions. I have civilizations. Civilizations are any complex society characterized by the development of the social orders, communication beyond their spoken language, technological development, and urbanization. I also have Mesopotamia. It's a region of Western Asia, which is now known as Iraq, where writing first developed and is considered the birthplace of writing. Mesopotamia. There's a picture of Mesopotamia on this slide. Here you can see all of the green, which is Mesopotamia. You could see the Tigris and Euphrates River, which flows through it. The area was also called the Fertile Crescent. Now Mesopotamia is located and known as Iraq, Turkey, and Syria. Mesopotamia civilizations. The first Mesopotamian civilization rose in the southern part of Mesopotamia, which was called Sumer. The Sumerians created the world's first ever writings, which was called the wheel and the plow. The Sumerians worshipped a hierarchy of natural gods, and these temples that were set on these platforms called ziggurats. The ziggurats stood in the center of each city and state. A lack of stone led to Mesopotamians using bricks and wood for building, which is the reason for not much of their creations still standing today. I also have the definition of ziggurats down at the bottom. Ziggurats are a type of massive structure built in Mesopotamia, a regular stepped tower sometimes surmounted by a temple. Ziggurats. Here's a picture of a ziggurat and what it looks like. The Sumerians created ziggurats for a place to worship. Ziggurats were built with a center core of mud brick and the outside covered with baked brick. What I think is really interesting is for a single ziggurat to be constructed, they needed at least 17 million bricks that had to be made and fired. Sumerians art. Much of the art from the Sumerians is for ritualistic needs. For an example, the work of vase. The Sumerians ended up coming under the authority of one leader and made a statue of the ruler, Akkadian king. Sumerians created a lot of pottery, sculptures, and created carving in cylinder seals. Down there is the definition of the work of vase. It's a vase created by Sumerians that depicts an example of hierarchy being a portion of nature in ancient Mesopotamia. Here's a picture of what the work of vase looked like. This vase is one of the earliest surviving examples of the art that Sumerians created. It is a celebration of fertility that is carved into the vase. There's different levels within this art. The different levels represent different things.
Let's try and unpack what's happening on this vase. Let's start all the way at the bottom. Remember, the vase is read from bottom to top. Starting all the way at the bottom, in the first register or section, if we look closely, we see wavy lines. These lines look as though they may represent water. Oftentimes, when people want to depict water, they just create wavy lines on a piece of paper. Moving up to the next section, we see what looks like plants or crops. These are most likely the grains grown by the farmers. And remember, farmers were very important because everybody was paid uniformly in grains. Moving up, we see animals walking in one direction, following each other. This seems like a herd of some sort. If we look even closer, we can see that some of the animals have horns while others don't. This can be read as male and female animals alternating. Above the animals, in a larger register, we see nude humans. They are walking in the opposite direction of the animals. They also appear to be carrying various produce and goods. At the top of the vase is the largest register, and the fact that this is the largest register may indicate the importance of what's happening up there. At the top of the vase, we see what looks like a woman, but she's clothed. Art historians believe that this is the goddess Inanna, who was the chief deity of Uruk. Next to her on the left is the nude man figure again. He's offering her crops. This looks as though this is a type of ritual where people are bringing offerings to the goddess. The fact that the men are nude are kind of interesting. Perhaps they're one step above the animals. Perhaps this is a way to symbolize their humanness in the presence of something that is a goddess, something that is above human. Behind her are two long poles. These poles represent what looks like an entrance to a temple. Inanna is the largest figure in the whole scene, so the female figure. Oftentimes, scale is used to represent importance. Behind her, there seems to be more vessels filled with fruit or goods, along with animals with large horns. This whole vase seems to be a representation of fertility, or fertility of the crops. What do you think?
Arcadian ruler head. Here's an image of an Arcadian ruler head. In the lower parts of Mesopotamia, the Sumerian culture flourished. They became under the authority of an Arcadian king from the north. The Sumerians involved themselves in a long-lasting tradition of making representational art through lost wax casting. They used different techniques like blending and created patterns. Here's a bunch of different images of art that they created over time. Mesopotamia was an area where culture was important and spread, and they were able to develop cultural traditions.